Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Saturday night, Cam Ward, the Miami Hurricanes, for lack of better terms, continue to make statements in the 2024 season. And I think this game in particular is so fascinating. There was a lot of members of the national media picking this game to be a trap game for Miami. And, quite frankly, you go back to the 2023 team or the 2022 team, I probably wouldn't argue with that. And this was a Miami Hurricanes team that was losing late in the second quarter on the road at USF this tonight, I should say. This team just never flinched. And I think it starts with quarterback Cam Ward. I mean, talk about a leader of this Miami Hurricanes team that, one and most importantly, is kind of bringing that swagger back to this program. But I think more importantly as well, like exudes confidence. You look at Cam Ward, you had some really unfortunate kind of things happen early in this football game, right? Puts one right in Jacoby George's chest. It ends up going for an interception. Cam Ward never bats an eye. Like, I don't think this kid has gotten rattled one time this year for Miami. And as good as Cam Ward has been on the football field for Miami, I think his presence out there, nothing to do with his performance, I think it matters for Miami. I think that's my biggest takeaway. Now, I want to get into some of what we saw on the football field as well. Now, before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Miami fans. There's a reason we're staying up till 11 Eastern time to talk Miami football. The amount of support you guys have shown the boys, it's been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Without further ado, let's get into this one. And let's start with quarterback Cam Ward. Obviously, a very good football game for Cam Ward. The only blemish he has, the interception. Quite frankly, we all know it's not his fault. Look, Cam Ward, the pocket presence, the ability to extend plays, the ability to play off platform, but at the same time, just not really putting the ball in harm's way. That continues to be the talking point about Cam Ward. Like we had high expectations for Cam Ward heading into 2024. I think he surpassed even the highest expectations that we had for Cam. I think you get to the wide receiver room. I think the story of the early portion for Miami, like, look, we knew Xavier Restrepo was going to be a guy. He continues to be a guy for Miami. The emergence of Isaiah Horton. And look, we talked about him during spring. We talked about him during fall camp. This kid's making strides. This kid's ready to break out. I think a lot of Miami fans really, I want to see it on the football field before I'm getting fired up about it. The emergence of Isaiah Horton is massive for a couple of different reasons. One, it's just another weapon for Cam Ward and Shannon Dawson to use. You can tell there's a lot of chemistry getting built up between Cam Ward and Isaiah Horton. But I think most importantly, like in the red zone, you talk about the throwing windows getting smaller, wanting to have a big bodied wide receiver that can go up and make those plays. Isaiah Horton's emerged to be that guy. I think, secondly, for Isaiah Horton, he's developed a much more well rounded football game. Going into 2024, I think we all assumed Isaiah Horton was a kind of linear wide receiver, a guy that's just going to work vertically down the field. He's much more than that. Like the route concepts he's running, what he's doing after the catch, that's massive from Miami. I think there's like a one wide receiver, 1A, wide receiver, 1B dynamic for Cam Ward in that passing game. Isaiah Horton's a dude. The tight ends continue to get involved and continue to look really good. Like, the production on the box score might not like jump out at the paper. Whenever a guy like Riley Williams or Elijah Royal catch the football, even Elijah Lofton, like, they're mismatches. They are very good with the football in their hands. There's two things I want to talk about. One, Miami's in Passport, I thought Miami was really good on the offensive line. We're going to get to the run game in just a second. Jacoby George continues to be just an enigma for me for this Miami Hurricanes offense where, there are games and plays that Jacoby George makes that make me look at him and say, we need to get this kid more involved in this offense. And then there's kind of games like you saw today where it's just a lack of consistency. You look at a guy like Xavier Restrepo, the same exact player every single game, reliable, does the right things, doesn't make mistakes. Jacoby George is kind of on the other end of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, make some plays that make your jaw drop, and then he does that. And so you want to see Jacoby George continue to build up that consistency to kind of be a dynamic playmaker in this Hurricanes offense. Now, let's talk about the one, like, I guess, question you'd have about this Miami Hurricanes team, and that's the run game. I'm going to scroll down. Jordan Lyle, I mean, kind of skews the numbers, but outside of the Jordan Lyle run that we just saw, and they're not really going to the run game that often. And quite frankly, if Miami's scoring 50 points per game, I'm not going to get up here and complain about what this offense looks like. You have Cam Ward. I think you have multiple NFL caliber wide receivers. Go use him. Like, I'm a fan of Miami just asking Cam Ward to go be the best quarterback in the country, which quite frankly, he's been the first 4 weeks of the season. Miami's going to have a run game, and they said it on the broadcast, and I would agree with them. Like, at some point, they're going to have to go to the run game. I'm pretty dang confident that it's going to be there for Miami. Jordan Lyle seems to be a guy that you want to get more touches to. You look at Damian Martinez, kind of a bruiser, get some of those hard yards. Then you look at Jordan Lyle, and I get he's a true freshman, so you continue to want to get his feet wet before you kind of thrust him into the fire and have him take 15 carries a game. He continues to be one of those guys that you want to get the football to. Flipping over to the defensive side of the football, brilliant second half for Miami. Look, USF, why was this a trap game? Like, I have a ton of respect for Alex Golesh. I think he is a very good football coach that will be coaching at the Power 4 level in the next couple of years. He kind of runs that Tennessee Vols offense where it's that veer and shoot. We're going to spread you out. We're going to give you a lot of different personnel packages. And he's got a quarterback in Byron Brown who's just a playmaker. Like, this kid's a gamer. And there were times where, look, Miami didn't play as, I think, clean as you would like to see, especially in the first half on the defensive side of the football. This was kind of a tricky matchup because they do so many different things and they throw just like the kitchen sink at you. Miami's defense is built on aggression. Like, we want to smother you with the front seven. It's kind of hard to play that way when you have a USF offense that, one, is running with a lot of pace, giving you a lot of different looks, a lot of different personnel packages, using some trick plays. It was a frustrating first half, you might say, for this Miami Hurricanes defense, but I do give Lance Guidry a lot of credit for, all right, they just unloaded the clip at us in the first half. They scored 15 points. That ain't going to happen in the second half. That's exactly what we saw. Because of the weird splits, like, Miami was forced to play a lot more man coverage, which they struggled at times with some of those rub routes and kind of pick plays. Again, I think that had a lot more to do with USF just scheming up and making some plays in this football game, particularly early in the first half. But once Miami settled in, like, you saw that defense just really start to overwhelm USF. So I think the biggest two question marks are really the one question mark I think we leave this football game with is, hey, is Miami going to be able to run the football when they need to? I think they will be. I just don't think they've necessarily had to. Real quick, I'm going to get the numbers up. The game just went final. I think Miami is going to be able to run the football when they need to. I think they have the offensive line. They have the running back room. I just don't think they've needed to so far. And if you have a quarterback that's playing the way Cam Ward is, like, you want the football in his hands as much as possible. I also think teams are given some loaded boxes, which I think certainly makes you want to throw the football more as well. Getting into, I think, my overarching take of this football game, I was really, in a way, kind of happy to see Miami get tested, have their backs against the wall a little bit on the road here. That was the one thing we haven't seen yet. Like, Miami's played really good football, but even you go back to week 1 against Florida, there was never like a time where I think Miami kind of felt like their backs were against the wall. You might have kind of felt that a little bit against USF. This team didn't flinch. I think that's my biggest takeaway coming out of this game. This team's really complete. It has, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the country right now. Like, you talk about who's played the best at the quarterback position throughout the first 4 weeks, it's Cam Ward. If you were to end the season right now, who is my Heisman selection going to be? I don't get a vote, but if I were to get a vote, it would be Cam Ward. He's got the pieces around him, a defense that's playing really good football. If you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, I think you're fired up. Virginia Tech Friday night. We're going to break down that game tomorrow night. Appreciate you guys rocking with it again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.